Greetings, yogis. I'm Rebecca, and welcome to this full body gentle practice for awareness. In this class, we'll use the body to help us practice our awareness of being in the present moment. You might like to keep a strap handy, but otherwise, you won't need any additional props. So take a moment, gather anything you need, and I'll see you on the mat. Find a little. So let's just start by coming to the center of the mat. And we'll tune in with our foundation by lifting all of our toes. Really see if you can press into all four corners of the feet here with the toes lifted. So you might notice that in order to accomplish that, you have to lift the arches slightly from the floor. And so once you've kind of come to that awareness of your balance, just allow your little toe and then your big toe to come down. And then allow the rest of your toes to come down to the mat. And then bend your knees slightly and just engage all the muscles coming up the body. Feel yourself lift the kneecaps from the knees. Pull the belly button in to support the lower back. Roll the shoulders onto the back. And then if you like, you can bring the hands to heart center. And we'll just land here today. So begin to even out the breath. Breathing in deeply in and out through the nose. And you might naturally feel here how your shoulders rise slightly when you inhale. And then just allow them to relax just a little more as you exhale. You might imagine drawing the breath up through your foundation, all the way up the front of the body, and then allowing it to cascade like a waterfall down the back of the body. Take a couple of breaths like this. Focus on deepening the sound of your breath so that you can hear it like a wave. And one last one here. Deepest breath you've taken all day. And exhale. And allowing your eyes to be gently closed here. Just take a moment to feel into your balance. So you might rock slowly towards the front of the mat. And then very slowly and mindfully rocking towards the back of the mat. And if you begin to feel very off balance, you can open your eyes slightly and just gaze towards the floor. And let's come back to center and then just lean towards one side, either side, doesn't matter. And come back center and lean to the other side. Feeling all the little muscles that support you as you go in these different directions. And then see if you can bring yourself right back over the center of your feet. Feel that balance. And then allow yourself to let that sensation go. We'll allow the hands to come down and we'll take a wide stance on the mat. And let's turn the feet out so that they're at about 45 degrees. So probably pointing out towards the corners of the mat. And when we spread the legs like this, it's often a tendency to hyper engage the knees and press the knees back. So once you found yourself into this wide leg position, just put a little tiny gentle bend into the knees. And from here, we'll inhale the arms up overhead, really reaching out through the fingertips. And as we exhale, we'll allow the hands to sweep down and bend into the knees slightly. Inhale to come up. Exhale, sweep down. And if you feel any pain or discomfort in the knees here, take your stance just a little wider. And then also make sure that your knees are tracking right over your toes, not to the inside or outside of your feet. You might allow your gaze to follow your hands if that feels friendly for your neck. And even in this motion, notice how that changes your balance. And as you begin to feel a little more limber in this movement, begin to just naturally allow it to deepen. Not necessarily trying to go anywhere in particular, but just experiencing that feeling of your body loosening up. Exhaling as you sweep down. Inhaling as you sweep up. And one last cycle of breath. Allow the hands to meet overhead. And exhale, hands to heart center. Let's allow the feet to come parallel on the mat. So we're going to turn the toes now so that they're facing forward. And pick up the arches, really pressing the weight or just allowing the weight to cascade into the outside of the feet. We'll take the shoulders onto the back, take the hands to the hip crease, and then gently allow yourself to fall forward, coming down about halfway. Now just holding ourselves here for a moment, moving the shoulder blades towards each other. And again, making sure those knees are slightly bent, feeling the engagement of the legs, pulling the front body into the back body. And on our next inhale, we'll use that inhale to rise back up. Taking the hands now to the hips and taking them just a little behind the hips. We'll open the collarbones away from each other, not putting ourselves in a back bend intentionally, but just allowing this spreading of the shoulders apart in the front to bring in that slight back bend. And then taking the hands back to the hip crease, we'll exhale once again, sinking forward, staying here briefly, really trying to bring the torso parallel to the floor, like you could be a table for a tea party. And then one more deep inhale. And as you're exhaling, just allow yourself to float down, all the way down, bringing your hands to the floor or to your shins or to a block if that works better for you. And once you've found your way down into this wide leg forward fold, really intentionally engage the muscles in the front of the thigh to lift the kneecaps. And notice that you can't do that as easily if your knees are locked out. And this little engagement in the front of the leg really gives the message to the hamstrings that it's okay for them to let go. They can let go and they can stretch. The thighs are doing the work of supporting the weight of the body. And we'll inhale to come up halfway here. And then take one hand, doesn't matter which one, can be your right hand or your left hand, and just plant that right in front of the face. And then inhale the other arm up overhead, coming into a twist. So wringing out the torso, maybe bringing a little movement into the neck, maybe keeping the gaze straight forward. And then exhaling to bring that hand down, switching the hands out at the bottom and inhaling up through the other hand. And exhale to allow that to release. And then on your next exhale, just release back into your wide leg forward fold. And we're going to take the fingers now and walk them over to the left. So you can reach around, maybe you reach for your left toe, maybe it's the outside of your left ankle or your shin, but just allow your left hand to rest somewhere on your left leg. And if you're able to reach over with the right hand and reach toward the toe, grab the toe, or reach towards the outside of the foot, just bringing the stretch more deeply into this left hamstring. Allow yourself to breathe. One more breath. And then release, walking the fingers back through center. If you like, you can bring both hands in front of the face here, wiggling out just a little through the legs if you like. Remembering to support the lower back by pulling that belly into the spine. And then we'll walk the fingers over to the other side. And maybe just notice here if one side is different from the other. Not to be judgmental, but just bringing that awareness into the body. Allow the head and neck to relax. Maybe it shakes yes and no just a little. And then allow that to release. Walking the fingers back towards center. And then we'll bend the knees slightly here. Take one hand above each bent knee and come back up to stand. Inhaling the arms up overhead. Exhale, allow the arms to fall, and we'll heel toe the feet into the center of the mat. You can shake the water off the legs here a little if you like. Let's do a little for our shoulders here. And so we'll begin just again by rooting down into our foundation, finding that balance point right over the middle of the feet, bending the knees slightly, pulling in the belly button. And from there, just beginning some shoulder circles. Inhaling the shoulders up to the ears. Exhale to release. Inhale the shoulders up. Exhale down the back. And just move through this with your own breath. And rather than trying to slow the movement, see if you can keep your breath nice and slow and long. And now we'll begin to move just one shoulder at a time. And really see if you can exaggerate this motion so that you're stretching into the side body as well as the shoulders. You can stay here with this motion if you like, or if you'd like to introduce a little range of motion, begin to move the entire arm as you inhale, making some big arm circles. And again, really see if you can exaggerate this movement, reaching out as far as you can with the fingertips, maybe even allowing yourself to cross the midline of the body, focusing on the descent and the stretch in the front of the shoulder. And now bringing both arms at the same time. Two nice big circles here. This range of motion in the shoulder, something that we don't practice very often, but it's so important. And then allow the hands just to come to heart center. We'll inhale the arms open wide here, really allowing the thumbs to reach back, imagining that you could hold a pencil in between your shoulder blades. And then taking a nice deep breath here as you're exhaling, just reach those hands around to the shoulder blades, giving yourself just a little hug. Maybe raise the elbows slightly. And if you like, you can drop your head. Feel the spreading apart of the shoulder blades in the back, and the stretch through the back of the neck. And then inhale, opening wide, once again, reaching those thumbs back towards each other, shoulder blades coming together in the back. Exhale, hands come around, reaching back for those shoulder blades. Inhaling to bring the elbows up. Exhale, dropping the head if you like. Giving a little attention to what your knees are doing here. If they've moved back, just allow yourself to bring that little micro bend back into the knees. And then shift your awareness back to the upper back. We'll inhale to sweep the arms open. And then as we're exhaling, this time we'll bring the left arm over the right arm. Allow the arms to intertwine and the palms or fingers to come together, coming into our eagle arms. And I'm not going to make any specific recommendations here, but just take a moment to play a little here with how the sensation changes if you sink the elbows down or if you allow the elbows to rise. So just slowly and mindfully in your own body, take a moment to explore what that feels like. Where are the places that you hold tension? And what part of this movement most deeply releases that place? And then let that awareness go. Inhaling the arms open wide. And exhaling this time right over left. So just coming into this eagle arms shape in the opposite way. And then begin that little exploration. Just moving slowly in your own body. We spend a lot of time throughout our day mindlessly moving between tasks. So this is your gift of awareness you can give yourself for today. One more cycle of breath. And then allow that to release. Arms sweep open. Exhale, hands come to heart center. Allow the hips to shift back. Coming into Utkatasana, chair pose. Building a little heat in the core and the body. And you can keep the hands at heart center here, or if you like, you can reach the hands out in front, or allow the biceps to sweep up next to the ears. Taking deep breaths. Holding here. Allowing the energy to build. Allowing that little fire to be kindled. Using that as awareness that you are alive today. And then wherever you are, nice deep breath. Exhaling hands to heart center if they're not already there. And we'll just tilt forward, finding our way into a forward fold. And if you're feeling very stiff today, you may want to keep your knees nice and bent, just as bent as they need to be for the fingertips to reach the floor. And as a matter of fact, let's allow the hips to sink down as we inhale and exhale to lengthen through the backs of the legs. Inhale to release the hips down. Exhale to lengthen. A couple of more here with your own cycle of breath. And then bring that back to stillness. And you might like to bring this into a rag doll. If you have any lower back issues, you can keep the fingers on the floor, maybe walking them from side to side. So just again, just exploring here for a moment to see what the body wants, what the body needs. Bringing that awareness with you. Now, if your fingertips are not already on the floor, allow them to come back down, bending the knees slightly. We'll take one hand above each bent knee and then inhale up to stand, allowing the arms to extend up overhead. This time we're going to grasp the right wrist with the left hand and use that left hand to pull the right wrist up towards the ceiling and then begin to extend over to the left. Really stretching through the side body here. So we're grounding down through the right foot, mindfully moving the right hip down away from the bottom of the rib cage. And then inhale to release, grasping the other wrist, this time pulling up and over or up and out, and then extending over. So notice here that the intention is not to crunch over to the side like Gumby, but rather to really sprout up and over by lengthening through both sides of the body. And then inhale to come back to center. Exhale to bring the hands down to heart center. And we will find our way down to our mats now. So come down slowly with yourself. And let's come into a tabletop and come through some cat-cows here. So nice wide fingers, nice stacked joints. And just begin to move. I like that I say move as I go into cow pose. So just moving slowly and gently here with your breath, allowing the belly to drop as you inhale. Exhale, mindfully moving the belly button towards the spine. And you can press the tops of the feet into the floor, or if you'd like to get a little stretch in the bottoms of the feet, you can turn the toes under. And then when you're ready, allow this movement to come to stillness. And let's take the right leg and extend it out behind, keeping those right toes on the floor and really pressing out through this right heel, stretching the back of the right calf. And if you have your toes tucked under here, you might like to bring the top of the left foot back to the floor. And then really, really mindfully engaging that belly button into the spine here, pressing away from the mat. Begin to allow that right foot to rise from the mat. Returning the pinky toe of the right foot down towards the mat slightly, opening the inside of the right thigh towards the ceiling. And if you like, you can extend the left arm. Really reach out of the shoulder joint here, just like you're being pulled in two different directions. And then when you're ready, allow the limbs to release back to the floor. Come back to your neutral spine. And then we'll extend the left leg out long, pressing the left toes into the mat, pressing back through that left heel, feeling that lengthening in the calf muscle. It's one of my favorite muscle names, the gastrocnemius. Sounds devious. And then when you're ready, begin to allow that left foot to float up from the floor, left pinky toes rotating down, noticing how when we rotate those pinky toes down toward the floor, that brings that left hip down and into alignment with the right hip. And then if and when you're ready, extending long through the right arm. And then allowing the limbs to come back down towards the floor. Let's take the knees nice and wide here. Allow the hips to shift back, stretching the fingertips out long in front and coming into a wide like child's pose. Couple of deep breaths, feeling that stretch through the lower back. And then when you're ready, catching the wave of the breath, riding it up, rolling the toes under in the back, shifting the hips up, coming into downward facing dog. Pedaling out slow. You've woken the hamstrings up just a bit already. So maybe here you're exploring, deepening that sensation, bringing some mindful awareness to pressing yourself away from the mat and lifting that tailbone up towards the ceiling. And then if you found that little pedal, we'll allow that to come to stillness, allowing the heels to sink down wherever they'd like to land or fly, as the case may be. And then bringing the big toes together here, we'll plant the left heel, allowing the right leg to rise, opening the hip up towards the ceiling. And once you've found that stacking of the hips, or you're moving in that direction, Bring the shoulders back to square. On an inhale, we'll extend that bent leg. And then exhale, bringing the right foot through center, coming into a lunge. If you have blocks handy and you'd like to put those under your hands, you can, or you can just come to your fingertips. And on our next exhale, just allow the hips to sink forward any amount. Moving the gaze forward if you can, but remembering you still want to keep this 90-degree angle of the knee stacked right over the ankle here. And from here, we'll allow the left knee to come down to the mat. And you can take the top of the left foot to the mat, or you can roll the toes under, either way. We're going to take one hand and then the other to the top of that bent knee. And really move this right hip back as we allow the left hip to come forward. And then keeping that left hand on top of the bent knee, we'll allow the right arm to rise up, reaching up towards the ceiling, and then extending slightly over to the left. So you might find a little press and resist motion here between the left hand and the right leg. Feel how that builds heat in the body. Inhale the right arm directly back up overhead. And then as you're exhaling, open over towards the right. Right arm is reaching back. Left hand is still on the knee. And if you like, you can allow this hand to continue its motion back, reaching back for that left thigh and sweeping up through the left arm. Gaze is over the right shoulder. And then allow that left hand to sweep back down. Allow yourself to unwind and sinking back forward, coming back into our high lunge briefly, planting both hands, shifting that leg back, coming back, downward facing dog. Couple of deep breaths here. If you'd like to come to a child's pose for a moment, take that time for yourself. And then coming back to downward dog, if you took a brief child's pose, we'll bring the big toes together, grounding down through the right heel, allowing that left foot to float up from the floor, bending the knee, stacking the hips, three-legged dog. Squaring those shoulders back towards the mat. And then inhaling to extend through that left leg. Exhaling as we bring the left leg through, coming into our high lunge. And bringing in your blocks if you like. And then exhaling, allowing that right hip to come down. Shifting the gaze forward. Allowing that to release. Right knee comes to the floor. Right top of the foot comes to the floor. And then taking one hand above each. Taking the hands above the bent knee. allowing that left hip to shift back, still pressing that right hip forward. And now keeping the right hand on the left knee, we'll sweep the left arm up, really extending out of the side body here and reaching over slightly to the right, feeling that natural press resist that happens between the left leg and the right hand. Reaching that left hand way back up overhead as we're inhaling. And then as we're exhaling, opening this time to the left, reaching that hand back and choosing to stay here or allowing that left hand to drop to the back of the right thigh, sweeping the right arm up and over, taking the gaze over the left shoulder. And then allowing that right hand to swing back down. Left hand comes back around to meet the right on top of the knee. And we'll release forward. Rolling back up on that right toe for a moment. And then shifting the left leg back. Downward dog. Three deep breaths. And then allowing the knees to release down to the mat. You can take the child's pose of your choice here. So maybe allowing the knees to come out wide as you shift the hips back. Or perhaps you keep the knees underneath the body here. Feeling how that changes the sensations of this pose. And if reaching those fingertips out in front is what your body feels that it needs today, stay there. Or if you like, you can bring the hands around behind, allowing the backs of the hands to rest on the floor next to the feet, and the shoulders to round forward, stretching through the upper back. I'll take just a moment here to just reflect on how the body feels. And then whether your arms are out behind or extended out in front, inhaling to bring the hands back close to the chest or the face, pressing up here. We'll shift the legs to one side and come back to seated at the back of our mat. And let's bring the soles of the feet together. A few options here. You can hold on to the toes or underneath the toes. Or if you like, you can bring the outsides of the feet together and just begin to open the feet here, kind of like a book. Taking your thumbs, just give yourself a gentle massage here on the bottom of your feet. Maybe spreading all the toes apart from each other. Maybe massaging that big toe, bringing a little extra circulation in there. Massaging through the ball of the foot and the arch of the foot. Just allowing ourselves this little attention. And then letting that go, we'll use the hands to bring the knees together. Extend out long through the legs. Just take a moment here to allow ourselves to sort of equalize and land here in our Dandasana. So you might want to pull the flesh out from underneath the sits bones. You might like to sit up on a blanket if you have one handy. And then bending the knees slightly, pulling the toes towards the face. And let's bring that right knee into the chest, allowing that right leg to come open and the right sole of the foot to find the inside of the left thigh. If you have a strap handy here and you'd like to use that, you can take the strap around the ball of the left foot. Or if you're not practicing with a strap today, we'll just inhale the arms up overhead and exhale to come forward. Now you might like to allow the knee to bend here. What we're going for is to lay the torso, lay the belly on the top of the thigh. So however much you need to bend that knee to allow yourself to move the belly towards the thigh, just allow your knee to bend however much that is. And notice how this way of coming into the pose keeps the back from rounding. We're not going for a caved in shape here. We're gazing forward in this pose, looking forward. And then allow yourself to release from that. We're going to take the ankle of the right leg and place it on top of the left thigh here. And then bringing the hands around behind just for some balance, we'll begin to draw the left heel in towards the body, coming into a seated pigeon shape here. And the closer that left heel is in towards the body, the deeper the sensation will be. But not wanting to draw the heel in so much that we're not able to extend the chest. So see if you can find that balance point. Feeling that stretch in the outside of the thigh. And then we'll allow that left leg to creep back out. And you can take the right leg, either bringing the right heel in towards the glute here, or if you like to take that right leg over the left. Either way here, we're going to come into a twist. So keeping those left toes moving back towards the face here, we'll inhale open through the left arm, wrapping the left arm around the right knee and allowing the right hand to sweep around back. Fingertips coming to the floor here to encourage that spine to stay as nice and long as you can bring it. Inhaling to grow tall. Exhaling into this twist. And then allow that to release back to the front. We'll take this right leg and just give it a little rock like a baby. And then let that right leg release back out long next to the left. Maybe find your sits bones again. And then we'll pull that left leg into the chest, allowing the left knee to open out to the side, left sole of the foot to the inside of the right thigh. And if you have your strap, taking that around the right ball of the foot, shoulders roll onto the back. And again, allowing that knee to bend just as much as it needs to bend to begin to bring the torso, the belly, down to the top of the thigh. And just breathing here. Noticing that the breath will gently release and deepen this pose for you if you allow that to happen. And then on your next inhale, releasing, coming back up, taking the left ankle to the top of the right thigh, bringing those hands around back for some balance, drawing that right heel in towards the glutes and towards the tail. Nice open chest, long straight spine. One more breath here. And then as you're exhaling, allowing that right foot to creep back out, choosing where you'd like for that left foot to go, inside or outside of the thigh, opening up through the right arm, exhaling, right arm around, and left hand sweeps around behind, bringing those right toes back towards the face. Inhaling to grow tall. Exhaling to twist from the center of your chest. Not trying to force anything, but just letting it happen naturally. And then we'll exhale to release. Bringing that left leg in for a little rock like a baby. And then extending the left leg out next to the right. We'll shift down onto the back. Bringing the knees into the chest. Maybe rolling through that lower back if you like. And then we'll allow the arms to fall out to the sides, allowing the knees to fall over to one side, any side. Taking your gaze over the opposite shoulder if you like. Inhaling the knees back to the chest. We'll let the knees fall over in the other direction. Knees come back to the chest. And then allowing the knees to separate, we'll reach through, grabbing the toes or the outsides of the feet, and allowing the soles of the feet to come up towards the ceiling. Happy baby. Our last little offering, the hip opener for today's practice. Relaxing the shoulders, lengthening the back of the neck, rolling the tailbone down towards the mat. And then allow the soles of the feet to touch. And use your hands to help yourself extend out long, making whatever adjustments you need to make to come into Shavasana. And Just allow yourself to become heavy and notice. Notice any differences in the way your body feels from the beginning of your practice to the end. Take a moment to explore the spaces in between your toes. To draw a line with your awareness from your little toe all the way up your side body, all the way up to your armpits. Allowing yourself to trace the outline of your body. To feel the little arch space created by your lower spine. And to notice, just notice how your body slightly heats the air that lays close to your skin. Allowing yourself the awareness that you exist in this space as well. Not just these spaces inside your skin, but this area just outside the body as well. And then lastly, seeing if you can feel the boundaries of your spirit. And how perhaps that extends into the vast space beyond the area that your body can warm. And then take just a moment to rest here with this awareness. Lengthen and deepen your breath. Bring some movement into your fingers and toes. Sweep your arms up overhead. And roll to one side, coming back up to seated. You can bring your hands to your knees, or if you like, you can bring your hands to heart center. And we'll close today with a quote from Albert Hubbard, who says, happiness is a habit, cultivate it. Thank you so much for joining me for this practice today. And may your yoga follow you off the mat and throughout your day.